So today I'm going to be reviewing the Motorola Razr 2023, and a lot of you might know this phone as the Motorola Razr 40. Whatever you know it as, I know other international markets have different names for it. The point is, this is a folding phone that's very, very interesting that I'm very excited to review because it's a folding phone that you could find for under $700, and that is absolutely amazing. So is it worth buying? Is it worth saving that money and buying this, or should you buy something like the Z Flip 5 or another folding phone instead? Well, I'm going to let you know my thoughts in this full review. So with all that being said, let's get right into it and let's talk about the Motorola Razr 2023. So folding phones have been far too expensive for far too long, and a lot of us have been waiting to get a folding phone at a reasonable price. So I was absolutely blown away when I saw that this Motorola Razr was releasing for under $700. The retail price is $699, and not only that, but right now they've been having a sale, and they've been having a sale for a lot of the holiday season, bringing this phone down to $499. Now, if you don't see that sale right now as you're watching this video, that's okay. You might see it for $550, or you might see this phone for $600. But the point is, you can get a folding phone right now for under $700 and sometimes even under $600. And for those type of prices, that is a very compelling entryway into the foldable market. And what is so interesting about a foldable phone like this? What would make someone want to buy this? Well, if you look at it, it's a very, very unique form factor. If you're looking for something small to fit in your pocket, this is going to be extremely small. Like, this could fit in skinny jean pockets. This could fit in your pockets to polo shirts or whatever you have, right? It feels very, very lightweight. Even when you unfold it, by the way, it does feel extremely lightweight, and I absolutely love that. You also have a nice leather texture here. That just looks so, so amazing. And whenever you look at it beyond that, look at the front, you're going to see this little cover display here. And the cover display, the whole point of it is to really show you basic notifications. Now, I know some people are wishing that they would see a huge cover display. So it's really a small bummer. After all, even the Z Flip 4 had a larger cover display than this. So to have this little mini cover display, you might be a little bit disappointed. But I have to say, there are some people out there that actually want a smaller cover display. So I remember the Motorola Razr Plus, right? I did review that phone. It has a huge cover display. But for me, it was a little hard to protect, and I actually would prefer not having much of a cover display. Because if your cover display has access to all your apps, if you could go into any social media with your cover display, what's the point of the cover display in the first place? Like, a lot of us don't want to get into our smartphone. A lot of us want a barrier in between us and our phones, because some of us know we're way too addicted to smartphones, and we actually want it to be difficult to get into our phones so that we could stay away from our phones as long as possible. Now, if you are addicted to your phone, I don't think buying a phone like this is going to fix all your problems, but it is still nice to have that barrier there. And for some people, they want to actually check their quick notifications without actually having to open up their phone. You could check your notifications from your text messages, or you could check the weather, you could make a quick call to one of your contacts, or you could control your media, check your calendar, things like that. It's meant to take you out of your phone, because the second you open up that phone, you're going to be scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then you might get lost for an hour or two. And this is going to try to help you at least to get some work done. So personally, for me, I know I've been way too addicted to technology, so I actually don't mind having a smaller cover display. I actually want a little barrier between me and my phone. So I do think that some people actually will prefer this cover display being so small. Now, if you look beyond that and you open up this phone, what you're gonna find is a gorgeous looking display. I was shocked, because if you're bringing a foldable phone down in price, you would think that they would drop AMOLED. Maybe they would have a really bad display, or maybe the refresh rate would be lower. But no, we get a gorgeous AMOLED display in this screen. It also has 144 Hertz, 1400 nits of peak brightness, which is a lot of brightness in my opinion. That's going to make this screen look very, very good. And it's a 6.9-inch screen, so it's a very big screen. It's even bigger than the Z Flip 5 screen, and I like that, because if the phone is folded shut, it's going to be very small anyway. But whenever you open it up, it is nice to have a larger display. And it's a 2640 by 1080 resolution, so it is just a 1080p screen, but nonetheless, it does look very good and color accurate. Whenever I am watching things on entertainment, it does look absolutely terrific, especially when I'm just watching some YouTube videos like I often do. Now, yes, you will see some bars on the sides of the display whenever you are watching content, and that's mainly because of the aspect ratio of the display. You have a very tall display that's not too wide, so you might get those little bars on some content, but other than that, I don't think most people are going to care too much, and when you're watching the content, the main point is, it does look very, very good overall. If you want to watch some videos with your phone flexed open like this, that is something that you can definitely do. Because the hinge on this phone, it seems to be very, very sturdy. It seems to hold open in a lot of positions. This phone isn't water resistant, by the way, but I do like how the hinge nonetheless does keep some dust out. So this does have a level of dust resistance, which is nice. And it does keep some water out. It is splash resistant at least, so that's not too bad there. So I don't see a lot of compromises with the design. I don't see many compromises with the display. But if you want to see a little bit of compromise, you're probably going to find it in the performance. But it's not a lot of compromise because this does have the Snapdragon 7 Gen 1 processor, and that processor is fairly fast for your average everyday stuff. If you are someone opening up your social media, you're bouncing around various apps, maybe you're opening up things, you might notice it'll take just a little longer to load something. Not very long. I'm talking like a millisecond longer. And if you're opening up those things, I don't think you're going to notice. It's not like 1 second of waiting versus 10 seconds. It's not 1 second of waiting even versus 6 or 7 seconds. Like you're talking about an extra half a second of waiting whenever you're opening up an app. Outside of that, I haven't noticed many compromises with performance. Like it flows through everything. Remember, this has a 144 Hz display, so everything is smoothly scrolling as I'm going through the phone. Whenever I'm going from app to app, it does multitask very well. It does have 8 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage in the base model, and the performance on this phone is very, very good. It reminds me of something like the Snapdragon 778 that you could find in the Nothing phone, and the Nothing phone was very, very fast for me. So this is extremely fast. Now, if you've been using like the best smartphones out there, if you've been using the very best processors, you might notice that it's a hair slower, but I think your normal person out there, if they grab this smartphone, they're not going to notice much of anything as far as slowness. Like it's going to be a very, very fast smartphone. And if you look at gaming, yeah, you're going to notice a little bit of a drop compared to the higher end phones. This can't game on the highest settings on every game. Like I was playing Asphalt 9 and it looked like the graphics were just a little bit lower than normal, but still the game played great. The gameplay was very, very smooth. So I didn't have many issues gaming on this phone either because the performance is very good, not great. So that's one very minor compromise with this phone. So the cover display is technically a small compromise. The performance on this phone is a small compromise. And one other compromise that you're going to see is in the cameras. So the cameras here, I know they have a higher megapixel count compared to the Motorola Razr Ultra or compared to the Galaxy Z Flip 5, but megapixels do not mean everything. The cameras are a little bit worse. Not by too much. If I take pictures of something like the outdoors or flowers, they still look very, very good. And I will also say that pictures of my kids, they do actually look pretty good too. They're not perfect, and again, they're not quite as good as those other foldable phones on the market, but those other foldable phones are a lot more expensive. And whenever you look at these pictures, I do think they make my kids look plenty good. Of course, there is a little bit of shutter lag because my kids do love to run around, so I didn't always get perfect pictures, but I was still able to get pretty good pictures of my kids, and it was helped a lot by that little smiley face that you can turn on. It does pop up on the other side on the cover screen, so when you are taking pictures of your kids, they are reminded to smile for you, and the pictures were pretty decent overall. But either way, the camera's not quite as good as the Galaxy Z Flip 5, so it's a minor compromise compared to other foldable phones. But remember, this is much cheaper than those other phones, and even if you see the Z Flip 5 on sale for like $800, even if you see something like the Motorola Razr Plus on sale for like $699, I've seen those type of sales going on in this holiday season. Well, even if you see those sales, remember that this phone was on sale as low as $499. $499. I get a lot of folding phones could be cheaper on eBay, but you could find this phone on eBay for even cheaper than $500, at least right now. So with all that being said, I really think that this phone is going to, no matter where you buy it, it's going to save you like $200 or $300 over those other phones. You're getting 30-watt charging speeds, which is pretty good. The speakers are pretty good, and the fingerprint sensor is also very, very good. Now, they aren't perfect speakers. Maybe you'll get slightly better speakers on the Z Flip 5. There are some extra benefits to those other phones. Now, Motorola has improved their software updates, by the way. They now offer more software updates than they used to on their phones. This does have a larger battery than the Z Flip 5. It has a larger battery than the Motorola Razr Plus. This has a 4200 milliamp battery. So when you see a 3700 milliamp battery on the Galaxy Z Flip 5, you're talking 500 more milliamps, and even if you don't know a lot about batteries, the point is the battery life is just very, very good here. I was getting around 7 hours of screen on time, and getting that out of a little flip phone like this, that's actually pretty impressive. I love the design on this, by the way. I love the feel of it. I actually prefer having a smaller cover display, and I really like the fingerprint sensor. I love the build of this phone, and it does even wirelessly charge at 5 watts. The point is, there's a lot to like about it. The real question is, can you deal with those minor compromises in order to save some money? Are you willing to deal with the phone being ever so slightly slower than those flagship models? Again, it's very, very fast, it's good performance, but it is a little bit worse. Can you deal with this phone having a smaller cover display? Again, I like it, but some people want a larger cover display. And can you deal with the cameras being a little bit worse? Remember that around this price, you could probably get something like a Google Pixel 7a, you could get a Google Pixel 8 with much better cameras, but that phone is not going to fold and fit in your pocket. That phone is not going to have cool features like this phone has. Like if I'm taking pictures of my kids, I could put a little smiley face here on this. This phone, as a Motorola phone, can turn on the flashlight just by shaking it twice like this. Or you could open up the camera just by twisting twice on the phone like this. So there's a lot of great things that you get from a Motorola flip phone like this, and I really think a lot of you should consider buying it. Like if you're in the market specifically for a foldable phone, if you're in the market specifically for a phone that flips open and shut, then that's going to limit you to this for around $500 or $600 or whatever the case, or maybe $200 or $300 extra dollars if you go with the Z Flip 5 or if you go with the other Motorola Razr Plus. Now those phones will have slightly worse battery life in my opinion. You will have a larger cover display though. You will have a little bit of better performance. You'll have a better refresh rate on the outer display on the Motorola Razr Plus. So there's a lot to like with those phones, right? But you are going to have to pay more. Is it worth paying more for a little bit better performance and a little bit of a better camera? Or would you rather have something like this and have a worse cover display, but you get better battery life? I think that's very practical for a lot of people. So yes, consider this phone, and if I look at it, would I recommend it? I would say absolutely. I would recommend the Motorola Razr 2023, but I would recommend it, of course, to a select group of people. I would recommend this phone for someone who is looking to get in the foldable smartphone market, if you're looking to get a flip phone like this. But if you are willing to deal with those minor compromises, a little bit of worse camera and being a little bit slower, I think you're really going to enjoy this phone. So hopefully this review has helped you out. Hopefully you've been able to decide by watching this what foldable phone you'd like, or maybe you just got to check it out. And it is really cool, by the way. I really like this phone this year. So please give me a like if you really liked this video. Give me a sub to my channel. That would mean a lot because I try to cover a lot of smartphones and a lot of tablets on my channel, especially with Android. So check out my other videos if you get a little bit of time. Check those links in the description. That is a great way to support my channel, especially if you're looking to pick up a device like this. And no matter what you get, no matter what you buy, I hope you have a great day, and I really hope you enjoy your week.